Welcome back. WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. Says so right up here on the hat. It's a strange week around here. They are running a horse race out at Old Hilltop. I have, in honor of Bob Baffert being on, I broke out my pink shirt that I should be wearing to the Black Eyed Susan. I should not be talking to Bob Baffert during Baltimore-Washington football week, but we should not have a pandemic in this country, but we do. And he's got a horse, and it's the greatest horse name, Authentic. Bob Baffert, I welcome you back to the place where you are the king at 7 Preakness winners and moving on. I'm going to try to make you name them all a little later. But you're always so kind to take some time. And I guess you're just really bored this time around, right? It's not just people in the Clydesdales back in the barn, right?
It's a ghost town back there. It's a weird feeling. There's nobody back there. Maybe a couple photographers, 4 journalists. That's about it.
Well, you come here for the energy. I mean, you come on every year with me. You tell me how much you love the crab cakes and coming in and the smallness and the energy of all of it. Give me a little briefer on where Bob Baffert is 7 months into a pandemic here, finding yourself in Baltimore as the leaves are changing, all of this. I was going to hope that was for Breeders' Cup one day if we could ever pull that off. But what happened to you in the horse racing industry back in March where you're on that life cycle that's so normal for you, so normal for us, that you're going to run, you're going to have a horse in Kentucky, you're going to come to Baltimore hopefully with a winner, a favorite, whatever, and then everything stopped for you in the horse racing industry, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I had 4 really nice horses. We had Authentic. We always had Authentic, 1,000 Words. Then we had Nadal, and we had Charlatan, and Nadal and Charlatan, they got injured, and Nadal was retired, and Charlatan, he'll be back, but he missed all the action. But we went from looking really, really strong, and to all of a sudden, we were down to 2, but we happened to pull it off with Authentic, who was always number 1 from the start.
Well, I guess through this journey, and a lot of folks don't know the order of the races and the Belmont and where we are, and that a Triple Crown can't be won. The notion that you're going to move these horses around and move races around, I wouldn't say the horse knows what race it's in or what the prize is or what the Triple Crown's all about. But for you and for the jockeys and for everyone that's tried to make this work, and to still run a Preakness. Bob, every year, hell, I've been here as long as I've known you, going back to the 90s, trying to keep the race in Baltimore, right? So now we're going to run it with no one. And I guess for the locals, I've encountered a lot of people that don't know the race is being run this week, Bob. I'll be honest with you.
I don't think so. I agree with you. It's just been, like, we're just lucky we're even running it. When they said they were going to either postpone or cancel the Derby, that was just devastating, because I thought, man, I'm never looked so strong, and now all of a sudden we're not going to have it. So what I did is Authentic, I just sort of stopped on him, and I kept going with those other ones, and all of a sudden they pushed it to September, and I got Authentic back, and then I got him back really quickly for the Santa Anita Derby, and I didn't get him ready in time, and he got beat. He ran second. That was his only bad race. And then I got him ready for the, it was in Tiz the Law. He was the horse that looked unbelievable. And all of a sudden we met up with him at Derby, and we were able to beat him. So that was, and I've had a roller coaster year. I mean, it's been a crazy year for me. And so winning the Derby, I'm in the paddock. I have 2 horses. One rears up and loses his footing, falls over on his side. My assistant, Jimmy Barnes, is always with me at big races. He falls backward, lands on his wrist, breaks his wrist in 8 places. He can't watch the race, send him to the hospital, scratch one horse. I mean, I thought, what else can go wrong? And the horse wins. It was like the most emotional Derby. We were all crying. I mean, it just been crazy, but here we are, a month later. No Jimmy. He's on the mend. He's got 9 screws and a plate in his hand, and hopefully he'll be okay in about 10 weeks, he says. But and here we are with 2 horses, 1,000 Words, the one that flipped over, but it was just a freak accident. He just got mad in there and he just reared up. And but Authentic, he looks great. He looks fantastic. They both look great. We're here in Baltimore. Place is empty. The hotel's empty.
Man, you're laughing laughing at me. I text you the other day. I said, "Will you come on?" You're like, "Sure." You always say yes. And I'm like, "Are we on Pacific time or East Coast?" You're like laughing at me. You're like, "I'm in Baltimore." I'm like, "How would I know you're in Baltimore?" You know, I mean, I barely know the race is going on. Bob Baffert is here and back in Baltimore and socially distanced and all that. I would take a deeper dive with you and Bob Baffert and your stable and all the things you do. How many people do you employ? I mean, you talk about Jimmy and these important people that get up every morning because, you're the glory guy. You roll in with the good looks and the sunglasses on a muddy day or a sunny day. But, I mean, I know behind you there's so many people. And when COVID comes throughout every workplace, right? I mean, I'm sure it's changed everything about your operation. And I know you have a lot of people that count on you and count on you having great horses and keeping them healthy through all of this.
No, the COVID, it hit us. We were at Santa Anita, and I had 40 employees there, and 18 of them got it, and within a couple of weeks, and it was tough because they had to have LA County was really tough, so they were gone for 2 weeks, but
Sick, very sick. What's the range of 18 employees? That's
you know what
incredible.
they didn't. You know what? It was sort of mild though. They felt achy, fluish, nothing serious, and they came back within 2 weeks. They were back, but nothing. I even had an older sister. She got it, and she felt like she had like a cold, but not really sick. So I think there must be different degrees of it because when you hear about COVID, they're whatever, and I'm surrounded by it, and I've got some heart issues and everything else, so I'm trying to be careful, but it really, the California strain that we had must be different. I don't know what strains, but it wasn't really that
Yeah, I've
bad.
had so many. I've lost 2 friends, and I've had another dozen friends lose their parents, lose loved ones. People that were above the age of, let's say, 50 or 60 years of age. But I mean, it's definitely had an impact. I mean, and I know your connections back to New York and really all over the world. It's a pandemic. It's everywhere, right? From the back of a stable in Santa Anita to where we are right now and getting the race here. For you, going back to that and the people that you were around. I mean, it's rocked everything. What has it done to the racing industry?
Well, it's actually, they shut us down for a little bit there in LA, and then we got going, but you know what? I've never seen we're seeing the gambling numbers have just gone to the roof. Like there was nothing to do, so people started gambling. They signed on and started the ADWs are just they're killing it. Everybody's you can't go to the races, but it's affected a lot of the owners because they're not able to go to the backside to see their horses because they've kept them out, and it's causing a lot of frustration. If you own a beautiful horse and stuff, but you can't go see it. The only time you can see it is when it runs on television or whatever, and now they're starting to slowly let them back in where they can see them from afar. You can't go to the paddock or anything, but you can see them sort of close. And for the Derby, we were lucky that we were there, up close and maybe too close because everybody saw me take a tumble in the winner's circle there at the Derby. So it was a rodeo.
Bob Baffert is our guest. He's got Authentic in this week. We are running the Preakness, yes, in October. It is true, and no one has worn the Keep the Preakness in Baltimore pin longer than I have. Tell me about your horse and D. Wayne, and I saw the story. Listen, I haven't bothered any of the usual suspects. The Dick Girardis and the Marty McGee's and Lafitte. None of these people I've bothered in the way that I usually grab them for all and the beer drinking, all the fun we're going to have, the bands, all the stuff that we're used to around here. My wife goes out, pets the Clydesdales and all that. I haven't done all of that, so you might be one of the few pieces I do here this week. But the stories I'm reading and where the industry tries to come together, right? And I know baseball had its fights with owners and players over money, and the NFL, are we going to get to the field? And the NBA did its bubble. I think everybody was trying to just keep running. And I think from where I am from 25 years ago, the fact that trainers of horses would actually house each other's animals and take good care of each other, that's kind of maybe the 30-year-old version of Bob Baffert doesn't remember that.
No, it's been hectic, but we've all fought through it. I'm lucky that a lot of people lost their jobs. I was able to keep at least going to work because we have to care for the horses. So we got to go to work every day and be around them. And to me, I'm in this business because, I love the competition, but I love the horses and I love being around them. And so, and then when you get to come to Baltimore and run the Preakness, and you see all the faces have been working back there. They're still a few of them back there, and they see us. They greet us here, and they're so happy. And to me, this is always my favorite leg of of all the races because it's just usually fun, but unfortunately, the fans won't be able to enjoy it, and it's too bad.
Tell me about the race in the 9-hole and what you're expecting, because I think so much of this race is usually rooted back in May, rooted in the spring, rooted in bringing the Derby winner, whether it was you or whether you're trying to beat that horse at various points. I think the momentum for it and how the horses and how you guys think about training horses in the spring, different kinds of horses in this race than maybe we would see in the spring.
Yeah, I think you're seeing like a second wave. There's a few horses that ran the Derby that are taking another shot. It was a month later, so if it would have been 2 weeks later, I've always wanted the Preakness with my Derby winner because we came back 2 weeks later, and my horses would win. And now there's a month, so it's giving everybody sort of a time to freshen up a little bit more. And you're getting outsiders. There's horses that didn't run in the Derby, and so there's probably more like it's a pretty big field for a Preakness. There's 11 horses in there, and usually if they would have run it 2 weeks later back in May, it'd probably be like 8 or 9. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be.
Well, it was always hard to come back after 2 weeks, right? That's been something we've talked about for a long time, whether that's good, whether that's bad, whether it's good for the industry, whether it's, any of those things. And now COVID comes along and it gets disjointed. I guess I would be asking, do you think they'll move in a direction to do that? And I guess you're a proponent of 2 weeks, right? You've been very successful at 2 weeks, right?
Well, I think it'll go back the way it was because it's challenging. It's more of a challenge. This thing was spread out, and what happens is when it's spread out like this, you just sort of lose focus. A lot of people don't even know there's a race going on. Even though there was a lot of people watched the Derby more so than anybody because there was nothing going on, and so I'm sure there'll be a lot of people watching the Preakness, and hopefully, because you get football's coming back now, so that's getting going. But at the time, it was just nothing. It was all horse races. This was our chance to really capitalize on sports.
What a great name for a horse, Authentic. You've had some great ones over the course of time, and I guess this one can't prove itself in the same way that American Pharoah or others have, right? Or Justify, right?
No, he's just going to get two swings at it, and that's it. They had the first swing was sort of a short race, and he gets this one, and then it's the Breeders' Cup, and that's it. So unless the Breeders' Cup, that'll be. But then he's got to run against some older horses that are pretty tough out there that I happen to have.
So through all of this and all the quarantining and all the moving around and your trainers getting broken wrists and you trying to figure this all out, is there something about being around the horses that's serene, even because you do spend so much time around animals, more so than some of us that spend so much time around people, right? That maybe it would be good for your mental health to be around animals at this point. I know I love my cat in that way.
Well, it's just being around the horses. They're the greatest therapy a human can have. To be around them, they're so noble, and these horses that I have, they all have their own personalities. They're all, some are sweet, some are not so sweet, but they're fun to be around. Yesterday I unloaded. We flew in. I brought Authentic in, and he is just a power. He's like leading a keg of dynamite. I mean, he is just ready to roll all the time. And just like when I put the flowers over his shoulder at the Derby, he was, man, you would have thought I was putting like a live animal, like a wolf on his shoulders or something. He was like, what's going on? And he was tough, but he's an exceptional horse, and quite, he showed, that day that Tiz the Law, it looked like Tiz the Law was his race to lose, and when that Tiz the Law came to him, he just kept going. And so, when you have those superior horses like that, it's a great feeling, to come in here. I've been so fortunate to come in here with horses like Pharaoh and Justify and this guy, and we
I
have.
was going to make you name all 7 and see if you could. And I pulled the list up just to make sure I could name them all, because they're like your children for a while, though, right?
Well, you got the 5 Derby winners. You
Right.
got Silver Charm. You got Real Quiet, War Emblem. You got Justify, American Pharaoh. Then we had Looking at Lucky, who should have won the Derby. He got wiped out. And Point Given should have won the Triple Crown, and he got beat. So those are them.
There it is, man. So what was your first Preakness? Because you won in 97, and I was going to Preaknesses back in the early 80s. So all of those names, Swale, and going back probably to Seattle Slew and Elocutionist straight on through. And Ronnie Franklin was a local rider from Dundalk. What was your first one when you came in? Was it 97?
It was 96. I had Cavanier, and he got beat a nose in the Derby, my first Derby. And I ran him in the Preakness. I'll never forget, ABC was covering at the time, and they wanted to wire me up for the race, so they put a microphone on me and everything. And he ran 4th, but he got beat like about 10 lanes. It was a bad 4th, and I remember the guys from the ABC. They started taking the equipment off of me, and the race wasn't even finished yet, you want a microphone back. That's a bad sign when they start taking their equipment from you. They haven't even crossed the finish line yet.
Well, all I remember is a couple years ago, we were out there, and I think I ran into you, and we learned to leave a little early. We usually leave before the big race and come home, beat the traffic, and get settled and watch it. I love, and I tell all the broadcast folks that I've had on, I love the presentation, especially on Derby Day, where they paint the story of all of you and the town and everything that's involved in it. But we came home one time, maybe 5 years ago. You won. Yeah, I don't know which one it was. Probably it was Pharaoh. You won. And I looked over your shoulder, and there's Gene Simmons behind you. And I'm like, man, I didn't see Gene Simmons in Preakness today, but there he was right over your shoulder. So, for me, I'm always watching you on TV and walking through, and I really appreciate whether it's a Super Bowl here in Baltimore, along the trail, they always take some time and come on with us. And I love that you love Baltimore. So we hope to keep the brace in Baltimore, to keep you coming back. And I guess you'll be on a short track now. You'll be back in May, right? It won't be a whole year.
Yeah, hopefully all this craziness will be gone, and we'll go back, get to more. I can't wait to get back to a happy, normal America. So hopefully that'll happen soon.
And I hope you'll be able to shake your hand and give you a hug in the winner's circle one day. Bob, thanks for coming on. Eat a crab cake in my honor, all right?
I will. Thanks for having me.
Bob Baffert, the man, the myth, the legend. I made him name them all. He named them all. I knew he would. I would have bet, I would have bet anything that he would have been able to name them all. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram. We're merging WNST with Baltimore Positive all into one place, including some great horse racing conversations over the years. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Preakness and Baltimore Positive. Thanks, Bob.
I can't get over your lampshade.
You like my lampshade, do you?